And Gabby Williams were slow to get up after a collision underneath the basket. Here's what happened.
Oh, that is a major collision for the two of them. They both knock heads. It took them both some time to get to their feet.
Okay, get this. Lexi Hull took a head-on collision so brutal, everyone thought her night was completely over. But just minutes later, she was back on the court, a massive knot on her forehead, diving for rebounds like nothing happened. And that single insane act of toughness, it told you everything you needed to know about this Indiana Fever team. They stepped into Nike's huge Caitlin Clark celebration night, without Caitlin, without half their guards, and somehow walked out with a dominant sweep over the Seattle Storm. So how did Hull, Aaliyah Boston, Odyssey Sims, and Kelsey Mitchell completely flip the Fever's story in one epic night? And what did Aaliyah Boston say about the game that has the whole locker room absolutely buzzing? If you're rooting for the Fever, drop a comment right now and say, "I've got the Fever." Let's go.
Woo! First home game. Got a dub. Let's get it. Big dub. Let's go. Fever dub! Bow, bow, bow! Woo! Dubs! It's giving sweet.
Indiana's problems started way before the game even tipped off. Caitlin Clark was still out with that nagging groin injury, sidelined since mid-July, but she wasn't alone. Sophie Cunningham, Ari McDonald, and Sydney Colson were all dealing with season-ending injuries, and Chloe Bibby was still managing her knee. Talk about bad luck. This basically gutted the Fever's guard rotation, forcing their bench to get super thin and making the starters play crazy heavy minutes on a night that really mattered.
AB's been the one that's been most affected by all of our injuries. You know, all of the point guards that know how to get her the ball and how they get it to her. And it's not just getting her the ball, it's where you get it to her. You know, getting it to her on time, on target, you know, thinking one pass ahead, you know, all that matters. And I thought today, her aggressiveness with the ball in her hands to the rim, getting into defenders, playing low to high instead of high to low. When she plays like that, you know, there's nobody that can stop her. And, you know, she set the tone for us, really on both ends. You know, she had the NECA assignment as well and set the tone for us on both ends. And, you know, she was terrific.
And the timing, it couldn't have been worse. Indiana had just lost 4 of their last 5 games, literally clinging to the edge of the playoff picture. They rolled into this matchup with a 19-18 record, holding on to the 8th and final postseason spot, while Seattle was sitting right above them in 6th. So yeah, every single possession in this game carried insane weight. It wasn't just about stopping another losing streak. It was about fighting tooth and nail to climb up in a standings race where one win could change everything. The urgency for both the players and the fans, it was absolutely impossible to ignore.
Aaliyah, this is a string of games, beginning of a string of games against the teams you're competing for a playoff spot against. Did this game feel more important in that regard? And I guess how big was it to get a win in this one?
Yeah, I mean, going into this game, we talked about that this was going to be a big game for us, considering the standings where Seattle was. But, you know, going into the West Coast trip, I mean, right now we're just going to be focused on LA. That's kind of been our motto this entire season, is just focus on the game ahead of you, be where your feet are. And so starting tomorrow, we're going to be looking at LA. But, I mean, this next string of games definitely important for us, but we got to take it one game at a time.
But hold up, the vibe inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse before the game told a completely different story. This was Caitlin Clark's new Nike logo reveal night, so the arena was a total off-court party, banners everywhere, promotional shirts flooding the stands, fans lining up for selfies with branded backdrops. This night was 100% built around Clark's superstardom, celebrating her as both a player and a total cultural icon. But here's the wild part, the irony was sharp. Clark herself was stuck on the sidelines, watching from courtside while her teammates were out there fighting for their playoff lives.
Feels good. Got the pants, got the charms, necklace, zipper, everything.
On the court, the challenge was huge. Without Clark's insane outside shooting to stretch defenses, and with a bunch of veteran ball handlers missing, Indiana had to focus on inside scoring and rebounding just to even have a prayer. Seattle, on the other hand, had a super experienced core still pushing for their own playoff spot, and they looked like exactly the kind of team that would totally exploit Indiana's short bench. Honestly, very few people in that building expected anything more than maybe a close game at best.
It's special. I mean, you know, there's very few people who get the opportunity to say that they have a logo and to make the impact that she makes, not just I think in the sport, but globally, just by being who she is. She's a connector. She brings people together. And, I think for us to be a part of that, and whether it's, as simple as being able to celebrate all of these things with her, or, as much as walking out into the arena and seeing the whiteout on the chairs out there, it's really cool. And it's really special and shoot, I'm talking about it right now, and just feeling the intense gratitude for me personally, being in women's basketball, to be able to be a part of this moment and to celebrate with her.
Yet, somehow, the Fever players showed up with a completely different energy. Instead of letting all the injuries and the off-court celebration define their night, they embraced it like a true test of their toughness. Every defensive rotation felt sharper, every box out drew just a little more contact, and the crowd, hyped by Clark's presence but desperate for someone else to step up, started to rally behind the effort they were seeing on the floor. It was in that intense, high-pressure environment that the defining moment of the entire night unfolded. One collision that perfectly captured all of Indiana's incredible resilience.
And Gabby Williams were slow to get up after a collision underneath the basket. Here's what happened.
Oh, that is a major collision for the two of them. They both knock heads. It took them both some time to get to their feet.
And then it happened. Right in the first quarter, Lexi Hull and Gabby Williams were both absolutely flying after a loose ball under the basket when their heads smashed together. The sound of that collision just echoed through the arena, and both players immediately hit the floor. Williams stayed down, but Hull walked straight to the locker room, clutching her forehead. The cameras caught the swelling starting instantly, a massive bump that had people wincing both at home and inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The whole crowd went totally silent. Losing Hull on top of 5 other injured teammates honestly felt like the absolute breaking point.
Happened on that play?
Well, I didn't know exactly what happened when it happened. It was kind of just like a clash. But looking at the video, it just, Gabby and I ran into each other. Unfortunate, unlucky. I think we both have knots on our heads, so we both kept playing, so it's all right.
Were you pretty dazed when you...
Yeah, I think it's more of like what just happened, big like collision. I just need some time. Felt my face, felt a growing knot, so that doesn't feel good.
Fans just assumed that was the end of her night. I mean, come on. There's no way anyone takes a hit like that and comes back into the same game, especially when you see that knot already growing on their head. And here's the kicker. Hull isn't some flashy scorer, but on this seriously depleted Indiana roster, her effort is absolutely non-negotiable. She locks down the best guards, she hustles like crazy for every 50-50 ball, and she brings that undeniable energy that glues the whole team together. Without her, Indiana would have been even more vulnerable on the perimeter. Everyone in that building knew it. The collective thought was simple. If she's out, how on earth do they possibly survive?
Storm basketball. Deliver Sidantos, Kelsey Fitzgerald, Lexi Hull. Sinking to the floor.
Minutes ticked by, and then, almost out of nowhere, Hull reappeared and checked back into the game. The swelling was totally obvious, but she stepped onto that floor with the exact same intensity as before. Her very first possession told you everything you needed to know. She dove straight to the floor, going after a loose ball like absolutely nothing had happened. The crowd just erupted, standing and cheering for her unbelievable return. What looked like an ending instantly turned into the spark of the entire night. Hull herself later admitted she felt pretty disoriented right after the hit, but she still came back and played heavy minutes. She even joked that everyone was telling her she looked beautiful despite the giant lump on her head.
I knew yeah. Everyone's like, you look beautiful. I'm like, I know I look insane, but it honestly looks better now than it did when it first happened. So hopefully this goes down quick.
Did you glance up at the video board to like see it? Like, did you get to look at it?
No, I could see it looking out. Like, I could see it just from my own eyes. So I didn't need to look anywhere. I knew it was going to be big.
No way. So it's in your peripheral vision?
Yes. It was literally like sticking out. I mean, it's still big right here, but it was bigger and I could see it. So they brought it down a little.
Your teammates, your coach, the GM, everybody's just kind of talking about your toughness, I guess. So there's not really a good way to ask that question, but if you could just talk to me about that toughness and where that comes from.
I mean, if I can play, I can. If I feel like I can play. You know, whether or not I look good or not isn't the problem. So, yeah, I think for me, it's just the team is the most important thing. Getting wins is the most important thing. And if I can contribute in any way I can, that's what I'm going to do. So if it's playing a little injured, playing a little hurt, that is what it is.
That decision to just keep battling. It ripped through the team faster than wildfire. The bench saw it, the starters saw it, and Aaliyah Boston made it absolutely clear later. She called Hull the definition of tough, and this wasn't just some casual praise. It literally put a name on the new gritty identity the Fever showed everyone that night.
Lexi Hull gets hit in the head there at the beginning of the game, comes back in. If you could just speak to her toughness and what it meant seeing her fight through what sure was not very pleasant.
I feel like Lexi's the definition of tough.
Yes.
I think when you just think of her as a player, the way that she hustles, she likes to get loose balls, extra offensive possessions. That's what she does. I mean, she got hit, she came back and just continued to contribute again, was a pest on defense, just making her presence felt, offensive rebounds, and that's just who Lexi is. So.
Their coach, Stephanie White, saw it exactly the same way. She called the collision disgusting, but described Hull as absolutely unshakable. White said Hull never shows if she's hurting. She just gets back up and competes on every single possession, and that's precisely what she did.
Yeah, I mean, that was disgusting. I don't know if y'all saw it, but I mean, it's who she is. You know, she's just a tough young woman who battles every possession, and you know, you can never tell if Lexi does, if she's hurt, if she's injured, if she goes down, if she gets back up. She just always has the same expression, and she just plays her butt off. And you know, I'm thankful that it wasn't worse, and thankful that she was able to come back. But she really kind of epitomizes the toughness and the grit of this team.
And the numbers, they totally backed it up. Hull finished with 9 rebounds and a team best plus-minus of +3-1. It was her pure grit and defense that absolutely shut down the Storm's flow, all while she was sliding into lineups that looked completely patched together. Her return completely flipped the energy in the building and told everyone, hey, this isn't just about surviving tonight. This is about making a statement, and that unbelievable toughness set the stage for Boston, Sims, and Mitchell to completely take over.
Bouncing. Boston can't finish inside, but able to tap it back out. Hull tracks it down and steps into a three and connects. I know.
With the guard rotation so thin, everything for Indiana had to shift inside, and Aaliyah Boston made absolutely sure Seattle felt that on every single possession. She dropped 27 points, snatched 9 rebounds, and made life utterly miserable for anyone who dared to stand in her way. You could literally see her setting up deep, creating space with her body, and finishing with the kind of raw power that forced the Storm to double team her and still come up short. When a star completely embraces the role of carrying an offense, there's this different, undeniable energy, and Boston owned that paint like it was her personal property.
And good hands there by Aaliyah. Boston just wrestles it away from Agumake, and here is Mitchell.
Usually you'd have a 2-for-1 right here if you had Caitlin Clark on the floor, but without Caitlin Clark, you really need to get a good look.
They do get a good look, and it's Boston to Mitchell. Here is Boston going at the rookie. Boston using her strength to get to the rim.
That 1-4 dribble puts the shot blocker inside the cylinder of the rim.
Seattle had no solution, seriously. By halftime, you could practically feel how overwhelmed their front court was becoming. Indiana out-rebounded them by a shocking 42-21 margin, a difference you almost never see at this level. Every single missed shot just seemed to land right in Boston's hands, and with second chance points piling up, the Storm couldn't get any rhythm going. Their guards tried to penetrate but kept running into a wall of traffic, and when nothing was opening up around the arc, you could totally see the frustration starting to show. It truly felt like a one-sided battle inside, with Boston controlling the flow on both ends of the court.
It's just a really good job. That's what I'm talking about. An extra dribble to get Malanga inside the cylinder of the rim.
It's been a strong start to the third quarter here for Indiana. An 11-point lead has grown to 16, and Boston adding to it. and 1 and a foul.
Screen and roll. And a good steal. I say this.
But wait, she wasn't doing it all by herself. Odyssey Sims stepped up and played like a seasoned veteran who'd been on this stage for years. She racked up 22 points, relentlessly attacking off the dribble, pushing the ball in transition, and then she hit that shot that turned the arena into absolute chaos. A deep three-pointer from the logo that dropped perfectly through the net. That single moment was way more than just 3 points. It was Sims screaming out loud that this depleted Fever team wasn't going to back down no matter what. For someone signed so late in the year, she looked not only comfortable but totally fearless, and her blistering pace fueled everyone else on the floor.
Aaliyah Boston and Izzy Magmagor in the center jump circle. We are underway from Indianapolis. Odyssey Sims tracks down the jump ball and lays it in. Here is Sims, one of those newcomers, slicing through the defense and gets to the rim.
I love the vertical game of the Fever right now.
In this building, 2007, finished 3rd all-time points scored. IHSA basketball history on the girls' side as Odyssey Sims knocks down a 3.
And Kelsey Mitchell, she brought her usual incredibly steady scoring, adding 21 points that really stretched Seattle's defense and made sure they couldn't just focus only on Boston. Even without Clark spacing the floor, Mitchell's outside game kept their offense balanced and dangerous. Whenever the Storm managed to close the gap or showed any signs of making a run, Mitchell was right there to answer. It was that kind of consistent firepower that told you Indiana still had a serious threat on the perimeter. Together, that incredible trio of Boston, Sims, and Mitchell gave the Fever an identity that looked nothing like desperation. It looked flat out dominant.
As Agumake gets it to go. Mitchell, quick trigger, and hits.
Unguardable. No one can guard. Sykes doing a good job of stuffing that backdoor cut, but it just sets up the screen and roll. It's all Kelsey Mitchell. The subtle things, the amount of attention.
What blew my mind was how this reshaped approach worked in every single aspect of the game. The Fever turned defensive stops into lightning-fast breakouts, forcing Seattle into just 3 measly fast break points the entire night. They dictated the pace, controlled all the scoring inside, and played so aggressively that the Storm spent more time reacting to Indiana than actually creating anything themselves. And this isn't just about hanging on until Clark gets back. This is them building a whole new winning formula that actually works. By the final buzzer, that 95-75 win didn't feel like some lucky upset and felt like total control. Indiana swept Seattle 3-0, climbed back into 6th in the playoff picture, and did it all while making one loud, clear statement. On a night meant to showcase Clark's logo, this game proved something even bigger. The Fever are so much more than just one star.
Okay, really great stuff. That's the most complete game we put together in a long time. We made more free throws than they attempted. Yo, hey, that is a difference maker for us, and that will be a difference maker for us. 22 assists on 36 made field goals. Total team effort.
Aaliyah Boston's incredible performance that night was just mind-blowing.
Best player in Fever history to do so.
And then, get this, Kelsey Mitchell, or Kella, as her teammates call her, just set a brand new franchise record for most points in a single season. Yeah, thank you, Kella. Okay, so who's injured again? Seriously, for everyone who's been out, here's the crazy question. If this group can dominate while battling all those injuries, what kind of ceiling do they hit once they're finally whole again? And as the Fever were celebrating their most complete win in weeks, the sight everyone was waiting for finally happened. Caitlin Clark was back on the practice court. For the first time since her groin injury in mid-July, she joined live workouts with her teammates, and the buzz around that update spread just as fast as the news of their victory. Clark has been gone for 16 straight games, one of the longest absences of her career, so her presence back in uniform wasn't just symbolic, it signaled that her road back might actually be close to the finish line.
I don't have any specifics on it. I think right now it's day to day. She's progressed in her rehab, and anticipate by hopefully, what is today? What day is today? Tuesday. By hopefully end of the week, she'll be on the floor, at least in practice.
What have you been missing without her? You know, I was talking to her recently about what she brought to you guys, but what do you feel like you've lacked when she is absent from these games?
The ability to spread the floor for AB. I mean, really to have another person that can knock down a shot and we can create some space for AB to go to work on the interior.
Coach Stephanie White explained before the game that Clark had only been doing walkthroughs earlier in the week, but this time they wanted to see her in a full-on practice environment, and that doesn't just mean shooting drills or working out alone. It's about really testing if her body can handle contact, how she reacts to defensive pressure, and if she can keep her rhythm going through long stretches. Coming back too early from a groin issue risks a huge setback, and White made it clear it'll take multiple practices before the team feels confident enough to activate her. The pressure is totally obvious when you look at their schedule. Indiana only has 6 games left in the regular season, and every day without Clark just tightens their margin for error. Being in the 6th seed is better than a week ago, sure, but the standings are crowded. One small losing streak could easily knock the Fever right out of position and send their playoff hopes crashing. This context makes Clark's recovery even more urgent. This isn't about saving her for next season. These final weeks are all about survival and building momentum right now.
Just curious, on a big picture, was Caitlin able to go through your little walkthrough or whatever you normally do? And what do you want to see ultimately to get comfort whenever the time comes?
Yeah, she went through our walkthrough yesterday. Today it was very short, prior to game time, but she went through it yesterday, and I want to see her in practice, live in practice. I want to see her continue to work to not just build endurance, but to be able to handle contact 94 feet as it's going to be in game, and to be able to do that and sustain from an endurance standpoint. And that's going to take multiple practices to make sure that there's no regression. And, as most of us know, when we get fatigued, we look different, and see how she plays through fatigue.
The contrast for fans inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse couldn't have been sharper. On the very same night her Nike logo was plastered all across the arena, Clark sat courtside in a simple warm-up outfit. She smiled, she cheered, but that spotlight still felt incomplete without her actually on the floor. That picture alone told the whole story. Her brand was absolutely thriving, yet the team around her had been forced to chase wins without their most dangerous weapon. But step by step, her progress is becoming crystal clear. First it was solo shooting, then light contact, and now she's graduating to full practices, arguably the last hurdle before she can suit up again. Many are now looking at Friday's trip to Los Angeles as a potential target for her return. It's against the Sparks, a Western Conference opponent, but more importantly, it buys the Fever time to reintegrate Clark before those huge back-to-back showdowns with teams like Phoenix and Minnesota. Her comeback isn't just about her numbers or highlights, either. It's about unlocking this incredible group that just stunned Seattle and imagining how much stronger they get with Clark stretching defenses and fueling those fast breaks. If they can win like this while short-handed, the version of this team at full strength has the potential to completely turn this playoff race upside down. What Indiana proved against Seattle went far beyond just one win. They showed incredible toughness, they showed a clear identity, and most of all, they showed they can carry a fight even when their biggest star is missing. And that matters because Caitlin Clark is almost back. Coach Stephanie White made it clear her next hurdle is live practice and contact work. That final crucial step before game action. So just imagine how this group looks when she returns, stretching defenses and adding her incredible playmaking to what already works so well. Was this the night the Fever truly shifted from injured pieces into a full-blown playoff-ready threat? If you support the Fever, then comment right now, "I've got the Fever." Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.